Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way. It's been a while, and today I'm going to tell you why I won't ride my InMotion V12 HT anymore. So, let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way. But first up, before we get into the video, I wanted to give you a very warm thank you and express my gratitude towards all of the kind words, all of the support I got when I announced that I'll be taking a break from YouTube and from social media for a week. There were tons of just positive comments, tons of likes, tons of words of support, and I'm also grateful to you guys that you weren't harassing me too much during that time. I did uninstall Instagram for that time and Facebook. So I didn't check those. I was still on YouTube just to watch videos. I deinstalled TikTok too, and I gotta tell you, this experience was pretty good, and I feel fresh and energized, as you can see. Lots of stuff, like private stuff also, I could figure out. So thank you guys for your understanding, and I'm back, and you are parked wrongly. Jeez. Another super quick note though, you can notice my helmet. I have a different helmet now. I reached out, I talked with Andrew from Jimmy Chang channel, and he hooked me up with Predator helmets. So yeah, that's what I ride in now. I kind of like it. So expect some more info about it sometime soon. But anyways, one sad thing that happened during my week-long vacation is that during a range test of the InMotion V12 HT, and yes, as you can hear, I still couldn't manage to not do work. Sometimes I had another situation like I described before that I showed you in the unboxing. That's it. After everything is supposed to be good. Look, digged in right here, I was feeling that something is wrong with the wheel. There was some sort of vibration when I was riding around 30 on this like gravel path. I switched from off-roading to commuting. I had every setup that InMotion told me to set, and still that happened. Here's the fucking wheel. My ass hurts again. It hurts. And once again, I'll have to recover from a fall. Honestly, battery state 64%. Everything works. Just the riding doesn't. And because I'm in the middle of the woods, I have to ride this fucking thing back. Probably like 20 or something.
Careful.
Just a brief refresher if you didn't see the unboxing. The wheel sort of accelerated from underneath me without reason. And then I talked with InMotion. Jeez. And they told me what to do with the wheel. I didn't have an update, but I set up the balancing of the wheel differently. I turned off the pedal tilt adjustment. All right. And they themselves told me that everything will be all right now. But to like briefly tell you what happened again is that I was riding, and at around 65% battery, the same exact thing happened. The wheel accelerated from underneath me at around 35 kilometers per hour. But this time I was noticing a bit more strange behavior than last time. So before we get into the crash itself, because sadly I didn't record it because I wasn't recording stuff, I will tell you, so maybe you know if there would be some sort of problem with your wheel and that you can sort of like tell in advance that something's wrong with your wheel. Because for now, I think my wheel had the only problems like this in terms of V12 HTs. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. So the wheel starts to behave a bit strangely sometimes below 80% battery or like 90%. At 100% battery, the wheel behaves just amazingly. It rides well, it balances well, everything about the V12 HT I really like. I gotta tell you, I really like this wheel from the riding perspective. But when it gets under 80% battery, it starts to sometimes have like a knock when riding. It's almost like it forgets to balance for like a split second and then it remembers again. And apart from this effect, it also sometimes dips the pedals slightly and there is like a sound almost like it's riding over glass. It's the same sound that the V12 HT has when it overpowers, but a bit in like a different pitch, different sort of noise arrangement. Initially I thought, because I heard it already before, that I was actually riding on glass. But come on, how much glass can there be around? And I usually don't hear stuff like that at all. So those things happen like randomly pretty much, but below 80-90% battery. Especially also like on bumpy trails. So then I had this thing like a couple times. Also had like lower speeds, like 20 maybe or 25 at times. But then I thought, well, maybe I'll just turn it into a commuting mode because commuting is generally softer and maybe this effect won't be happening then. And like my way of thinking, you know, you feel like you're maybe cutting off. Let's try to ride a bit more. Brilliant. But anyways, I tried the commuting mode and I was riding on a trail with like stones and stuff. You can see it in my video that I recorded just after the cutout. And then at around 30 to 35 kilometers an hour, first I had a small like a knock again. But then if I rode for a bit more, I thought, you know, everything is all right. InMotion told me you can go, the wheel is safe, and then the crash happened. Exact same thing, exact same behavior. So yeah, I won't be riding this wheel anymore, as you can tell. I will be sending it back to my e-wheel. They will inspect it, and probably I will receive just the new wheel from InMotion to test. And it's really a bummer. Like, I think the main point of all of this is if they would say, hey Adam, we don't know what's happening with this wheel, this might happen again. So then I would say, all right, I won't ride this wheel until you find a solution. But no, they said, hey, we know the issue, we checked the log files, we found out that it's the balancing system and you need to set it up in this way and then we're fine. But it's not. So my trust into InMotion this regard. Dobrze. So my trust in InMotion in this regard has dropped significantly. You know, it's my butt that hurts in the end. Luckily, a bit less than last time because I fell on dirt. But still, it feels horrible to fall in that way. Anyways, this wasn't the only problem that I had with the V12 HT. I've sacked around 220 kilometers on the wheel, and from the start on, I put the Nova pedals on because, you know, that's what I glide with. And I noticed upon returning from the crash, because I rode back at like 19 to 20 kilometers an hour, because I know at that lower speeds those crashes didn't happen before and I had to get home in some way. Oh, and the wheel didn't turn off after it, you know, the pedal thing and it crashed. Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah. So upon going back home, I noticed that the pedal mounting brackets, the one that you adjust the height on with the 4 screws, were loose. And I don't know since when they were loose or if they were loose after the crash, but it is concerning to say the least. On one side, all of the screws were loose and one of them fell out, so there were just 3 screws, and one of them had their thread already broken. So the pedal hanger was pretty much, I mean the pedal mounting bracket was holding on just by 2 screws. And on the other side, same story. I had just, all of the screws were loose. I was still riding on the wheel home and I didn't notice that. So I guess that's something to keep your eye out if you have a V12 in general, because I believe they all have the same screws there. So I'd know if like it's because of the crash or because of my riding style, but you need to take a look every once in a while at those screws if you know everything's held in place there, because I know if it's a problem of not enough Loctite there, because the amounts of Loctite in my screws were just very minuscule, or if it's just the metal that is too weak, or if it's the screws that are too small, or there's a too little amount of them. But you know, that's a pretty big issue. Like my initial experiences with the V12 are very, very bumpy, to say the least. Now, I won't be salty about that. I think, you know, the situation still sucks, but it sucks for me. I don't know how it sucks for the rest of the riders. And I think, you know, InMotion should be a lot more thorough in their quality assurance and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna wait for the new one, and I'm bummed out about that, that is for sure. However, I will still tell you a bit about the ride, because hey, I would normally do a ride review, and this is the video that it would be recorded today, InMotion V12 ride review, but I won't ride the wheel. Not a chance in hell. At least my specific V12 HT. So until the crash, I gotta say the V12 HT was one of my favorite wheels to ride around. Still light enough to be like manageable without suspension. Torquey, very well balanced, and I love the tire. The tire, I think it's one of the best off-road tires ever fitted on a EUC, and I had the variant which has like the bigger amount of knobs. It was great for carving on the street, which is surprising for an off-road tire, but it was also great for off-roading, and it had plenty of grip. It was a bit on the harder side of the compound and thicker, but that's actually a good thing, because then my rim is safer, even though it's reinforced. There is no like pedal dipping in successive bumps. It has plenty of torque. I don't know how much more than the HS, because I was still in the process of testing. I think it's more, but I don't think it's like a ginormous amount. It's stable, and you know, the trolley is great. So in general, I was hyper happy when riding the V12 HT, and you probably saw also some videos on Instagram about that. So for now, sadly, this will conclude my experience with the V12 HT, and I really wished that it wouldn't go out this way. I really wanted to do some tricks with this wheel. It was my go-to wheel for like most of the short distances and like trick riding. But with that said, I guess sometimes you gotta make a break. That's why we did a break with the social media for that time. I will be getting a Bigot Hero soon for testing, so look out for that. But for now, I think that's it. I'm over and out. So if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.